Magandang buhay! Ako si Danica Autonagaytay at ang aking kasama ay si Jersey Joy Talabo. At ang aming paksa ay tungkol sa parte ng Pilipinas kung saan ito ay ang Regional 2 or mas kilala ay ang Cagayan Valley.
Did you know that Spanish explorer Juan de Salcedo explored the coast of Cagayan in 1572 and found the people conducting trade with Chinese and Japanese merchants? The Cagayan Valley region is abundant in agricultural products such as rice, corn, peanuts, beans, and fruits, making Region 2 known as the top corn producer and the second in palay production in the Philippines. Batanes. Batanes, known as the home of the winds, because of its calm and windy weather, has preserved its postcard perfect scenery, friendly culture, and a simple way of living due to its distance from the mainland Luzon and the rest of the country. Locals still wear traditional articles of clothing like the vakul, a headpiece made of fibers from the boyay palm, which is used to protect the wearer from sun and rain. The stone houses of Batanes are built to withstand typhoons with walls and roof, 1 meter thick and small and narrow windows. Batanes has its festival. First is the Palo Palo Festival. It is one-of-a-kind social introduction of their regions. The festival got its name from the palo palo or sticks that were utilized by the local Ibatans to fight with the Spanish and Dutch pioneer. Next, Bakul Kanali Festival. This festival celebrated because they are taking pride of this quintessential Ivatan handicraft is mainly the reason for the celebration. However, it also rejoices its many other cultural values unique to their Northern Islander identity. If there are festival in Batanes, we are also have famous attraction in this area. Let's start with Basco Lighthouse, standing 66 feet on top of Naidi Hill in the famed Basco Lighthouse. Constructed in 2002 as a navigational facility to guide seafarers back to the shore. The hill where the lighthouse stands was once a small community for pre-colonial Ibatans and the home of the late chieftain Boyas. Next is the Mount Carmel Chapel or Tucon Chapel. It is also manifest solemnity and tranquility as it perfectly sits on top of a hill, overlooking the lush greenery of Batanes as well as the Pacific Ocean and the West Philippine Sea. The ceilings of this chapel were once covered with paintings of the patron saints of their 6 municipalities. Next is the Sabtang Island stone houses. Despite the meter-thick stone walls, some of the century-old houses were still no match for the super typhoon that ravaged Batanes a few years back. The sturdy stone walls provide shelter against strong winds and heavy rains that often hit the region, making the stone houses a perfect symbol and icon of Lake Batanes. And lastly, the National Museum of the Philippines Bataan area. Museum plays a big role in reminding us of how we grow as a people. This Batanes Museum will feature an exhibition on Ivatan cultural heritage to remind tourists what kind of culture Batanes has.
Cagayan Province is the center of Cagayan Valley region and they call it La Provincia de Cagayan, and some people call their province as a land of smile and beauty, and the capital of this Cagayan province is Tuguegarao, and the early province that exists during Spanish colonial period, and the spoken language is Ibanak, Itawines, and Ilocano. That is the major components of their language. And as of 2020, the population in Cagayan province is 1,268,603. Cagayan culture, tradition, and costume. The popular in Cagayan is the Itawis are noted for their poultry and basket weaving tradition because of the amazing people that are always waves in the province, and also the culture of Cagayan is the showcase in museum, historical buildings, and archipelago sites spread across the province, and also the Cagayan is a very ancient civilization and it has a distant, rich, and diverse culture. Commerce and trade was produced by its inhabitants and has influence with the Japanese, Chinese, and other neighbor Asian culture even before the Spanish colonized reached its shores. And that's why Cagayan is very popular and because of their natural beaches and breathtaking hills of their province. Festival of Cagayan province that I would like to share. First is Sambali Festival or they call this Payat Sambali Festival because they celebrate this in Payat Cagayan because of all brought about century and old culture tradition and they celebrate this on every year of June 23 to July 2. The second that I would like to share is the Bangkarera Festival which they celebrate this on May 10 in Apari, Cagayan because of this kind of festival is exciting race participating by up to 100 boats of different size and shape as a thanksgiving their patron Saint Peter Telmo. Yan. First is the Calaon Cave located at Peña Blanca. The Calaon Cave climbing approximately 100 steps to reach the cave's entrance. Several largest chambers. The largest chamber houses the Basilica Minore of Our Lady of Payat. The cave is famous for the natural cathedral inside the cave. This cathedral, like a chamber, is now transformed to a chapel by the local people. Second is the Panacuna River, which is served as a major tributary to the Cagayan River, ideal for whitewater rafting and kagayaking. And during thus, you will have a chance to witness a colony of bats rises from the cave as a dark approaches. Panacuna River is one of the largest tributaries of Cagayan River, whereas Cagayan River is the biggest river in the country. The name of Panacuna River is derived from the vernacular Panacuar, which means leftmost, and it is named as a shas because it is found in the southern east part of Cagayan province in the municipal of the Peña Blanca. And third is the Blue Water and Cave in Bacaon. The name speaks for itself. Blue Water and Cave, most commonly known as the Blue Waters by many people, has literally blue crystal-like waters. The natural water park is surrounded by the tropical vines, wild orchids and ferns, and narrow stream in between two towering rocks. And for the last is our Basilica Minore of Our Lady of Payat, locally known as the Patroness of the town. It is one of the most venerated Marian image of Mary in the Republic of the Philippines, and it refers to as the Mother of Cagayan. Our Lady of Payat is formerly Nestura Senora de Payat, is a 16th century Roman Catholic icon of the Blessed Virgin of Mary and the central figure at the altar of shrine in Payat in the province of Cagayan, Philippines.
Isabela. As if destined for greatness, Isabela is now dubbed as the Queen Province of the North. This premier province is one of the most progressive in the country, with Santiago City as the industrial center for Region 2 and Cagayan City for the commercial center. Ibanags compose the second largest ethno-linguistic group. Their traditions have survived in the form of old songs, proverbs, and poems that are still sung today, accompanied by indigenous musical instruments. Isabela has its festival. First is the Bambati Festival. Bambati Festival celebrating the rich agricultural history of the province of Isabela and the lasting legacy of generations of farmers who have built the community. Pansi Festival has been an annual event of Kabagan from where the well-known Pansit Kabagan is derived. Residents are always treated to huge servings of Pansi Kabagan in preview stagings of the festival. If there are festival in Isabela, we also have famous attractions in this area. Let's start with Honeymoon Island. It is one of the most famous travel destinations here in Isabela, Philippines. Getting there is inexpensive, yet it is one of the most beautiful places in the country located at Divilacan, Isabela, Philippines. Next is the Fuyot Springs National Park. It is a protected area of the Philippines located in the mountain slopes of Barangay Santa Victoria in Ilagan City, Isabela. The park, which also contains the Ilagan Sanctuary, is 819 hectares in the area and extends to the nearby municipality of Tumawini. Next, the Budo Falls is one of the best nature attractions in the province of Isabela, and this waterfalls is considered the tallest one in the province at about 100 meters high. Last is the Bonsai Forest, a natural landmark, and also it hosts a plethora of flora and fauna species.
Nueva Vizcaya's province is located in northern East Cagayan Valley region, and the name of the Nueva Vizcaya's province is derived from the name of province of Biscay, and in Spanish they call it Vizcaya, and in Basque is Vizcaya or letter V. The first, so huwag kayong malito. Yung una is Vizcaya, in Spanish is letter V. Doon naman sa Biscay is letter B ang start. And ito ay during ng Spanish colonial period. And also, kilala rin ang Nueva Vizcaya bilang citrus capital of the Philippines. And also, the capital of this Nueva Vizcaya is Bayumbong. And they refer as a lowland of Baguio. And as of 2021, the population in Nueva Vizcaya is 400,060 and 914. And ang kadalasan naman nilang salita is Ilocano and Pangasinan. Also, may Tagalog din naman and English.
Vizcaya's province, their culture, their tradition, and their costume that I would like to discuss for this day. First that I would like to discuss is their tradition, because of this is very particular in their province, that is bumbuwak, because of the bumbuwak is gadang dance that mimics to attract to tobacco plants, and for the second is the culture, because of the Highlanders still maintain a unique culture, and including what it's perhaps and the opulent attire on the island of Luzon, involving plentiful beads and precious stone. And for the last is Christian Gadang, is basically adhere to Christian norms of worship and ritual and no longer practice the rite of Anito. And they also believe in God. I would like to example of this is the concept of nunnery as the all benevolent creator. Nueva Vizcaya's festival, because this kind of festival is very unique and colorful, and they celebrate this every year. First that I would like to discuss is the Grand Amunan Festival. This kind of festival is very colorful and cultural diversity because of the indigenous cultures as a Nueva Vizcaya and unheralded province in the country in Nueva Vizcaya, and they celebrate this every year of May 19 to 24. And the second that I would like to discuss is the Citrus Festival, and we all know that Nueva Vizcaya's province is the citrus capital of the Philippines. That's why they celebrate this kind of festival, because of for being Thanksgiving to Kabunian or Supreme Being, where a number of pigs and chicken that they are offered, and they celebrate this every year of January 14 to 15, and the Ifugao performs the kulpi. Destination in Nueva Vizcaya that I am sure you will enjoy and find if you visit this province. First that I will share is the destination of St. Dominic Cathedral, or mas kilala siya bilang Bayumbong Cathedral, or formerly known as St. Augustine Church. It is an 18th century Roman Catholic church where St. Dominic is the patron saint of the town whose feast is celebrated every August 8th. And Saint Dominic Cathedral is located at Tubayumbong, Nueva Vizcaya. Second is the People Museum and Library. It is a two-story building which houses the Nueva Vizcayanos history and heritage. The exhibit includes tradition, handwood cloths, jars, and relevant artifacts used by the indigenous tribes peoples. Museum and library is located in Bayumbong, Nueva Vizcaya, and third is the Mount Palali. It's 1,715 meters above sea level and which belong their name of Haring Bato or a halfway point of landmark. It is a vantage the Makat River, plains, and blooming mountains. Mountain Palali is close to the boundary of Bayumbong, Nueva Vizcaya. And last is the Balate Pass National Shrine. It's RA 90796. The Balate was declared as a national shrine as a tribute to the gallant Filipino guerrillas and American soldier who victoriously found at the Balate and succeed in punishing and retreating forces of the Japanese Imperial and Army to further to the north of Luzon. The province is known for its rugged topography, which make it beautiful paradise for outdoor loving travelers, and also known as a forest heartland of Cagayan. The capital of Carino province is Cabariguz, and it is the youngest province in Cagayan Valley Region 2, and it is the leading producer of banana in the Cagayan Valley region. Carino province lies in the southern portion of Cagayan Valley region within the upper Cagayan River basin, and Isabela bounds in on the north, Aurora on the east and southeast, and Nueva Vizcaya on the west and southwest. And for the Carino costume, tradition, and culture is first is the Ilocots and the Dumagats are the original inhabitants of the province, which used to be forest region of the Nueva Vizcaya, and the Iloconots are hunters and slash and born farmers living around the headwaters of the Cagayan River, who have a strong pride in their penchant for hunting heads, but they have already abandoned the practice. And last, other culture community like Ifugao and Igorots in search for the proverbial greener pasture migrate to the province and are now living in the highlights of the ethnic groups. The Ifugao have the greatest number, and for their festival, first is the Panagdapunan Festival, which is celebrated of Quirino province first 21st of Panagdapungan Festival, and which also coincided with the 48th founding anniversary on September 6th, 10, highlights the coverage of culture of 6 municipal, which is the Panagdapungan is an Ilocano words that means gathering. And next is the Ginamulan Festival. It is celebrated during the June 12 to 15 of the year, and the Ginamulan Festival is in components of desirable and admirable traits, characters, and virtue of the Filipino. It is celebrated also during every June 19 to 21 of the year at the town of Cabariguz.
If there are festivals in Quirino, we also have famous attractions in this area. Let's start with Pusuak Spring Park. Pusuak Spring Park features a mystic bubbling hot water measuring about a hectare, secondary growth forests, and ancient rock formations around the site. Next is the Liwayway Caves. Liwayway Caves features are its glaring limestone formation, wide array of secondary forests of small trees, 15 scattered cave series with enigmatic underground river and presence of bat caves in this area. Landingan Viewpoint climbed by hills and rows of mountains, so it gets steep and windy. And lastly, Batumbaket Falls. It's a special natural features or it's almost 200 feet high, clean and crystalline waterfalls down to its bluish lagoon and goes to as tributary to the Ganano River, presence of virgin forest surrounding the area. I hope you've learned something about the Region 2, the Cagayan Valley region. Thank you for listening. God bless us all.